Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chat Kids. Today I want to show you the game played by Makan and Philipp. In this game, we start with pawn to e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, bishop to c4, bishop to c5, c3, knight f6, and white play d3. And here you have a Giuoco Piano with the c4, knight f6, and the main line d4, d3. And the game continue with pawn to a6, knight b to d2, castling from the black, bishop to b3. And this bishop is a very strong and maintaining the diagonal attack to the king. Then black play bishop to a7 and h3 from the white, d6. Then knight to f1. So knight to f1 with the idea to knight to g3. And also you can go to knight to f5 and attack the pawn at g7. Knight to f1 was played. Then black play bishop to e6. Then now white continue to develop and play bishop g5 attack the knight and pinning the knight. And the black move h6 to chase away the bishop. Then the bishop to h4 continue pinning, and black play g5 to chase away the bishop. And in this position, the white continue to make the first sacrifice by using the knight to capture the pawn. And if the pawn to capture, then the bishop will capture back. So here the white use a knight to exchange for a 2 pawn. So knight takes g5, the first sacrifice, then pawn takes g5 and bishop takes g5, and here threatening to win with the idea of knight to g3. And also you can go to knight to h5 and attack the knight. And you also have the idea of put the queen to f3 and attack the knight. Then the bishop can just capture the knight, and there is no better way for the black to prevent the pin. So in this position, it's still in the equal position, although the white sacrifice the knight. So after this position, the black use the queen to capture the f2 pawn and check the king. And in this position, if the white capture with the king, then black can just move the knight and attack the king. Then the queen can capture back the bishop. For example, knight takes e4 and check the king. Then if you use the pawn to capture, then the queen can capture the bishop. And after this, white can move knight to e3, and the position will be equal again. So after bishop capture the pawn, white play king to e2. Then the black king continue to move to g7 to protect the knight. And the white play queen to d2 with the idea of push the bishop to h6 and check the king, and will capture the rook. So black play king to g6, and here white continue to attack by playing h4, and you have the idea of attack, push the pawn to h5 and attack the king. So if you use the king to capture the bishop, then again the knight will capture the pawn and check the king and attack the queen. So if you use the pawn to capture the knight, then the queen will just capture the bishop, and after bishop capture, then king capture and h5 check, king to h6 and knight to e3, and here you have the position equal again. So after king g6, white play h4, then the black play bishop to b6 to move away the bishop, and here white play knight to h2. So after this, you can bring the rook to f1 and attack the knight. Then the bishop can attack the knight also. You'll be winning back the knight. After this, the black play knight takes e4. Then the pawn takes e4 again. Then the queen to d7 to avoid the attack. So after this, what is the idea from the white to continue to play? I'll give you a couple of seconds to figure this out. Well, congratulations for those who found the beautiful idea. And for those who like to enjoy the white continue to make the second sacrifice by playing bishop to f6. Then you can have many ideas like bring the rook to the attack. So this is the second sacrifice from the white, and after move bishop to f6, the king cannot capture the bishop. If the king capture the bishop, then you have queen to g5 and check the king. And here you have the typical checkmating mate, which is a dovetail checkmate. And you can see as this diagram, and this is called a diagonal dovetail mate, or another name called it Kozio mate. So back to the position. After bishop f6, then black play bishop to g4, attack the king, check the king, and just move away the king to d3 to avoid the check. Then black play king to h7, and now you have the idea of bring the rook to f1 and continue to attack. Then rook a to f1, and black play knight a5, and this is a quite weak knight because you bring the knight to the side of the board. Then bishop to G7, another beautiful sacrifice, and this is the third sacrifice. And the idea of white to threaten queen h6 and checkmate the king. So after the bishop to and position, white is winning. So if the king do not capture the bishop, let's say you just move any move, for example move rook to e8, then you have a mate in 2, so the queen can just check the king, and the king go to g8, then the queen to h8 and checkmate. For example, queen h6, queen to g8, and queen to h8 and checkmate. So after bishop g7, the king captured the bishop, and here you have a very mating idea, and with between 12 to 11 move and checkmate. So queen to g5, check the king, and basically the king don't have any move, and I only have this limited to 2 move. And in the actual game, the black play king to h8. Then now we bring the rook to f6 and have the idea of side file checkmate. So rook to f6, and the last move will be rook to h6 and checkmate. And in this position, there's no any defense from the black, so the black only can delay the checkmate only. So black play bishop to f5 to delay the checkmate. Then the pawn just capture the bishop. Then e5 check the king, and now king to c2. And after this, there is no more checkmate that the black can do, and the black could not prevent the checkmate of the rook to h6, and with this the black resign the game. And if the game to continue, the black can like just capture the pawn, queen takes f5, then the rook capture again the queen, and bishop to c3, then the queen to f6 check the king, and the king to h7, and you can have rook to h5 check the king, and the bishop can block the check, and you can use the rook takes h6 and check the king, then king to g8, and you can checkmate with the queens or the rook, so you can use the rook h8 and checkmate. And with this, thank you.